Good morning, darling. Let's drink up. Have your coffee. Do you recognize the theme? That's from Gone with the Wind, darling. You know, one of the things, since I'm doing installments about Al Wilsey, and I think it may take 5 installments because it's pretty intense. But those of you who don't know me or about my history or about Al Wilsey, I just want to bring you up to date. At the time that I met Al Wilsey, I had a television show on KGO TV, which was ABC station, and I had written a book, How to Be a Party Girl, my first book, and I'd been touring with that book, and I hadn't had a really romantic relationship in a long, long time, and of course that's something that we want in our lives. And I got a call from Al Wilsey. Now, Al Wilsey, it turns out, was a multi-billionaire, but he was very low-key. Not many people knew of his money. I certainly didn't. I had not a clue about him, except that his business partner in real estate had called me and told me that Al wanted to call me. So I left off yesterday after going up to his penthouse, which is in San Francisco, and it's on Russian Hill, and it's the tallest residential building in the city, or it was at that time. I don't know if it still is. But his penthouse was on the 32nd and 33rd floor. And it had a beautiful winding staircase. And Donna, you are mistaken about it being marble. It wasn't. It was magnificent, but it was wooden. And we covered the treads with carpeting to make it safer, and it was more attractive. You're thinking of City Hall, darling. You're thinking about those marble steps at City Hall. Sometimes it was like City Hall in that place. It was so big. But when I met him, I was turned off by the penthouse because although the view was spectacular, there was no furniture. It was like a big empty space. And I never decorated anything. I didn't know about what one would do. But I knew that what was done there now at that time was wrong. But let me tell you about the view. There was a balcony running all the way around. We had one half of the building, and later we owned the other half too. The windows were about 20 feet tall in the living room. And everywhere there were windows. And of course, to encompass the view. Of course, you could see the Golden Gate Bridge. I often watched ships coming in under the bridge. I'd see submarines, that looked like World War II something or other. I'd watch the regatta, and I could look all the way over into Marin County, and when the fog wasn't in, past Treasure Island, Alcatraz, right on across, and I could even see the Carquinez Bridge, and on the other side, the Bay Bridge, and look down on buildings. I said it's like being in an airplane in some ways. But I write about all that in detail in my book, Whispers from God. And many of the things I'm talking to you about that romance and the huge heartbreaking bust-up, is in that book. Lordy, life sure gives me a lot to write about, darling. It just goes on and on. At my age, you would expect that, though. And, of course, my next book is Peeing on Hot Coals. Don't forget that one. Comes out in September. I need you guys. Thank you. I'm thanking you ahead of time because I know that you'll help me. Anyway, let's get back to my romance with Al Wilsey. After that dinner with Al at his home with his African-American housekeeper and her baby. There's a baby crawling around under the table and everywhere. And I went up there once after that, just walked in because Al had told me to come by. And her name was Alma, I remember. She was sitting in the living room with her feet up, reading a magazine, having coffee. You know, kind of funny, really. Kind of funny. But Al had gotten her to help him after his second wife died. And I think he was still grieving when he met me. I'm sure he was. And Alma was part of that, you know, so she took advantage of her position in the family. The first thing that happened after that date, the initial date, was receiving all these bags that Al had his secretary bring over to me. There was Gucci, there was Dior, everything. They were gorgeous. And then a whole room full of flowers at my studio and at home. It was nice. He was really courting me. And we would go out to dinner, and I took him to some parties. That picture you see on Facebook that I have for my banner now was at one of the parties I went to. I took Al with me, and he hadn't socialized that much, but it turns out he really wanted to. His socializing was pretty much limited to the country club he belonged to with his former wives, and I found that boring. I don't know. I don't like country club life. A lot of people do, but I don't. But he loved the social life, I found out. And then I found out from a mutual friend that Al had decided long before he met me, he told this woman, Lois Woods, that he was going to marry me someday. And he had a clipping from the newspaper of my photograph, and he carried it in his wallet. I saw it many years later, and I go like, oh my, this is no little country boy, this is a stalker in a way. He wasn't, he was just lovely to me. We had been married, let's see, well, first of all, Al said that he wanted to go, he was going on a safari to Africa with his sons, and they had planned it for a long time. And he looked at me and he said, what am I going to do with you? Because we were going to get married by then. And I said, what do you mean, what are you going to do with me? You're going to take me with you. And he said, we're going to be shooting. And I said, okay. I'd never shot a gun, and I'm very opposed to guns, but nevertheless, different time in my life. So I went with him and one of his sons, Lad, and a friend out to a field in Marin, and they had a pickup truck. And they would get in the back of the pickup, and they would aim at a target. And Al had a big spotting scope, so he would watch where the bullets went. And every time the gun went off, I would go, ah! I would do that, what I thought I should do. You know, the woman thing, the girl thing. Oh, you know, poor little me, that gun went off. And I said to myself, why am I doing that? Why? Because it's a role I've assumed. So I turned to Al and I said, may I shoot the gun? And he laughed, and he said to everybody there, oh, Pat wants to shoot the gun. And I said, yeah. So he said, well, get in the pickup, and we'll set you up. So he loaded the gun and told me how to put it on my shoulder, the shoulder, and to put it then against my cheek and how to aim it. So he said, expect a kick on your shoulder. It might hurt. So he said, okay, and he's looking through the spotting scope, and he said, when you're ready. Well, I shot the thing, and there was Silence. And Al said, oh, you know what Al said? I got to have some coffee. Good morning, darling. Have your coffee. It's called suspense, so I won't cough. I had hit the target dead center. Better watch out for me, darling. More to this saga tomorrow. Bye.